the year 1865, there ended in North America one of the great encounters of history, the war between the states, or sometimes called the American Civil War. The men marched home singing a rousing battle song that had echoed around the campfires in the closing months of the war. The song rang around the world to the marching beat of the day. The words were, "The Union forever, hurrah, boys, hurrah. So we'll rally round the flag, boys, we'll rally once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom." Here is the tune as it sounded then. Same year of 1865, the year the war ended, a young Methodist minister named William Booth in London, England, began a series of revival meetings that grew into the Salvation Army. One of the things that distinguished the eager young evangelists around William Booth was their use of secular tunes and melodies to help in their revival work. And they found a use for this rhythmical marching tune to set the pace for a new Salvation Army. To that same tune, they sang the words, "We'll gird on the armor and rush to the field, determined to conquer and never to yield." And in those early days, the young Salvation Army was taking the gospel beyond the city of London. Some of the evangelists conducted meetings in the Midlands of England, and some even got as far away as Scotland. But among the kilts and bagpipes of Scotland, the tune scarcely sounded the same. It may even have sounded like this. Salvation Army moved rapidly in those early decades. The British Isles were soon encompassed by Salvationist evangelists, and they began to look for new worlds to conquer. They soon took the message of the gospel across the English Channel to the continent of Europe. There, in the ancient cultures of France and Germany and the lowlands of the north, the local color had its influence upon the army. In Central Europe, around Vienna, for instance, that marching song may have sounded like this. has always been necessary for evangelists and missionaries to speak the language of the people wherever they may be. The Apostle Paul proved this in Jerusalem, as the Bible carefully tells. And as the Salvation Army expanded around the world, they learned to speak new languages and to make new kinds of music, always as a means of reaching the people with the message of the gospel. When Salvationist missionaries came to South America, for instance, they learned to speak Spanish and to make Spanish music. Some of it might even have gotten mixed up with that marching song until it sounded like this. Missionary effort of the Salvation Army had been in India. A man named Frederick Tucker had persuaded William Booth to let him unfurl the Army flag in Asia. One of the first decisions of the Salvationist missionaries was that they should wear clothing much like that worn by the people, and special uniforms were designed in the style of the Indian dress. It is likely that their music took on an Oriental color too. Can you imagine the sound of a Salvation Army open-air meeting in Bombay or Calcutta? How could you tell which is which among the snake charmers and the Hindu fakers and whirling dervishes? In 1880, the Salvation Army came to America, and with them they brought back that American marching song. At home in American soil, the patriotic song mingled the fervor of Christian warfare with a loyalty to country that would stir the heart of every Salvationist and every American. Salvationism and Americanism belong together.